As a software agency owner, I've built over 20 SaaS applications for clients just in the past year. Whilst some have stumbled, others have soared, generating thousands of dollars in monthly recurring revenue. If you're curious about what sets the successful ones apart from the others, in this video, I'm going to walk through the process that I've seen to be the most successful to deliver a SaaS app in 2024. Hi, I'm Adam, a 23-year-old no-code agency founder, enthusiast, and AI developer based in Sydney, Australia. Over the past few years, our agency has developed hundreds of successful SaaS applications, and we've developed a pretty foolproof three-step process that we found to be the most efficient to get your product to market as soon as possible. Believe me, this process will save you thousands of hours and dollars. So let's get started. The three-step process that we're going to talk about in this video is discover, design, and develop. Starting with step 1, or discovery, the first step to any project is to understand the problem and develop a clear scope of works document. Please do not underestimate this step, especially if you are a non-technical founder. The key purpose of this step is to define the core functionality that's within your app. So that might include the features, possibly the user roles, what pages might exist in the app, what third-party integrations might be involved, and anything else you can really think of. Keeping in mind here, the goal is to keep your core MVP or minimum viable product as slim as possible. The purpose of this is that you can deliver it to market as soon as possible and start iterating and getting user feedback. One of the biggest problems that I see when I'm developing SaaS applications for clients is they try to fit too much into that MVP and integrate things that aren't actually core functionality. Once you have this document, which really summarizes the problem you're trying to solve and the features that the application should include, the next step is to discuss it with somebody technical. Now, if this is you, you've just saved yourself a step. But if it's not, the best place to go is either any friends or family that have technical backgrounds, or you can always find a freelancer on Upwork or reach out to an agency and they'll guide you through what is possible and what might be best left out or modified in your scope. They should also guide you towards what tech stack might be best suited for this product, and I'll get into that at a later stage. Now, the next step is design. Once we have a clear idea about what your app is actually about, we can progress to that design phase. At APG, which is our agency, we include two primary things in our design phase. One being the Figma file, or a complete prototype built on Figma, and two being a database architecture map, which we build on a platform that's open source called dbdiagram.io. Some of the key outcomes in this phase are wireframes and mockups, which is essentially your Figma file, but what you can actually do is create a prototype that almost creates a clickable interface of your application before you've actually built it. Now I'm going to demo what this could look like on my screen. Now what you can see here is a detailed overview of one of our Figma files for an internal project. And what you can see is this is really going to show us what the app can actually do and also how it's going to look like. So you can see on the left here, you can view all these different tabs. You can see what happens when different buttons are clicked. And what you can also do is use this prototype feature up the top right here, if your Figma file is built correctly, to actually run a demo version of this application. This prototype feature is really useful if you need to present this application to any stakeholders, or you might want to use one or two frames in some sort of marketing campaign to demo the functionality of this app before it's actually built. The next thing I'm going to talk about is user flow diagrams. We use these a lot, even throughout the build process, to map out what the user flows look like and when certain events should be happening. This is really good to do in the design phase for the core flows in your app. The last deliverable here is the database design. Now we do this on dbdiagram.io, which is a really great open source tool and it's completely free. What we find stands out with this tool is you get this nice JSON structure on the left hand side of your screen. Now what you can do is actually take this JSON to ChatGPT and question ChatGPT on different aspects within your database. This is really powerful if you want to bounce your ideas or just verify it with a third party. We found ChatGPT is usually 85 to 90% accurate if you define your app clear enough, and then you might have to make some small adjustments. A really great thing about developing a clear scope of works is that can be your basis point to prompt ChatGPT to then get an understanding of what your database design could look like. Personally, I've found that every 1 hour spent on planning in the design phase is really equal to about 5 to 10 hours of development, so you can see the value that this brings. It makes it much easier to communicate your vision to your developer and also to any stakeholders or investors in your project. Now, the final step here, or step 3, is develop. The tech stack that you use here is really going to determine how long this takes and how much it's going to cost. As a no-code agency owner, I usually recommend a low-code approach because you can build rapid MVPs in as quick as 4 to 8 weeks. But being completely transparent, there's reasons for and against every approach to building an app. There's a lot of different frameworks out there, and I'd really recommend talking to different people from different backgrounds, and they'll really sell you on what the good things and bad things are with each approach. What I have found works best, and the reason why I support using a low-code framework, and that's my recommendation, is because I've found it allows you to ship MVPs a lot quicker than these other approaches. The most successful SaaS products that I've worked with have shipped an MVP to validate the market in as little as 4 to 8 weeks using a no-code tool. They get that user feedback, they iterate, and they then make changes and grow on that base application. With hundreds of apps developed, we've slowly streamlined this process over the years, and I can tell you it's definitely the most optimal way to deliver a clear tech project, especially if you're someone from a non-technical background. A couple things to be wary of, especially if you've never built a tech product before. Now, first up, the success of this product really rides on the abilities of your developer, your designer, and probably your marketing team. So you really want to make sure you vet out your team properly and pick the people that have the skills to complete the job properly. Next up is to develop purely core features first. This should be your MVP or your minimum viable product. Leave anything that isn't super critical to this app's functionality for a later stage. Step 3 is to try and stay involved in the development process. Typically, the way these works is they're fixed price contracts, and what your agency or freelancer that builds this will likely do is to try and hide you from the process as much as possible. The reason for that is they don't want you in their ears 24/7 trying to make changes, because they're not getting paid to make those changes. It's in their best interest to not really keep you in the loop. Try and define milestones with whoever you build this with, and try your best to stay in the loop on what's actually happening. The last thing to remember is when you go live, that definitely doesn't mean that your job is done. You'll find a lot of bugs, a lot of user feedback that you can iterate on, and a lot of new jobs. If you hit success, these SaaS products move very quickly, and you're likely to get very, very busy, even busier than you were in that development phase. Building a 6-figure SaaS company in 2024 is an exciting and rewarding journey. By following this 3-step process, discover, design, and develop, you'll be best set to achieve success with whichever idea you choose to pursue. Remember, I've found that success in the SaaS space, especially in 2024, really comes down to a clear plan and design phase and an experienced development team that knows how to build scalable products. Thank you very much for watching. If you found this video helpful, or you're interested in anything no-code, AI, or freelancing, I think you're going to find a lot of interesting content on my channel. Feel free to follow me on my socials and keep up to date with what I'm posting.